welcome once again. Gerald Brown here. Rick Mahorn is on assignment. You taking care of business with the Pistons. This is Heavy in the Paint, Sirius XM NBA Radio. Make sure you check us out on both platforms, and definitely make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let's keep it going because, again, it's all about college basketball before the big boys, I would like to say, gets going. And this is a gentleman that had an opportunity. Amazing story, amazing experience. Part of the Memphis Tigers team that went to the Final Four and came so close to winning the national championship. Antonio Anderson joining me here in Heavy in the Paint. Antonio, I want to ask you this because I thought about you this weekend when, prior to this weekend, I thought about you the last time Arkansas played and how Arkansas's execution down the stretch kind of, lost that game. If you got a chance to watch that game, it felt like it was kind of similar to that Kansas game. Was there any similarities that you had saw in that game?
In a little bit, I think, in the moment, I think, when you got a lead like that, you just keep looking at the clock instead of just playing basketball. I think that's kind of what we fumbled a little bit, and I think they did the same. You see, they were getting offensive rebounds and then just shooting the ball with 20 seconds left instead of using some clock. So I think, not more so on the coach's standpoint, but just as players, especially that late in the season, man, you got to be more aware, more alert, and I think that's where me and myself and my teammates dropped the ball a bit.
Yeah. When you look at the Final Four, and obviously it's always that time of year, and I've had guys in the past who've won the national championship, gotten to the Final Four. What is the feeling like? What do you remember the most about the Final Four experience?
Just the excitement, in the city of Memphis, the excitement from my family and my friends in my hometown of Massachusetts. Because as a high school player, you watch the Final Four every year. You see them lights flickering, man, and you want to get there to actually get there and live it and experience that and be one of two teams playing on Monday night for the championship was surreal. So that feeling was something that stay with you forever, no matter the outcome. And I think that's the best part of going into the Final Four.
Yeah. How do you manage the excitement? Because I guess obviously Saturday, there's so much that goes on. Everybody's there, right? There's 4 teams that's going to be there. Everybody has the aspirations of winning the championship. Walk me through what that Saturday is like before the game tips off.
It's a little. We had the first game, so it was a little better for us because we had the jitters and you go to your regular pregame meal and you're super antsy, right? So we were able to kind of both teams were able to get there early. Us in UCLA, we were able to kind of get there early and kind of get to our normal routine. Man, but it feels like the day takes forever to get to that point, man. To get to that 5 or 6 o'clock, like we're just ready, man. Like it's so different than a normal game because the entire world is watching.
And then when you guys got to the championship game, right? So you advance and you get to the championship game on that Monday. What is it like after that Saturday? Like you advance, and obviously it's 2 teams going home. There's a bunch of fans going home. What was that like Saturday, Sunday night? Like after you guys had won and advanced to the national championship game?
We got back, we ate, we had our meeting, Kansas beat UNC, and then next morning we had practice and film and got right back to it to get ready for Monday. So you really couldn't really enjoy it as much as you wanted to, but it's quick. It's a quick turnaround because you got so much excitement going through your body after winning the first one, just to get ready the next day to get prepared for Monday.
Yeah, you guys steamrolled through your season that year. And I mean, what's interesting about that is when you look at college basketball right now, aside from the transfer portal, the high school kids, right? Who's talking about my son, and kids trying to find a place and going to get into, obviously, you coaching at the prep school level. When you look at high school basketball, college basketball, what is your overall thoughts? And what do you foresee happening in the future with college basketball?
I wish, they gave these coaches in college and these kids a better experience I don't think they're getting, kids, it's rightfully so, they're jumping from school to school for money and things like that. That's all that fine. But, we have, me and my teammates, we're so close. Like, till this day, in a group chat, and we know each other's kids, right? Like, we were so close. And that was built off chemistry, being with each other all summer long. When incoming freshmen like Derrick Rose come, like, it was easy for us to welcome him because we've been there for 3 years. Some guys been there for 4. And it's such a culture just amongst each other. So I think high school kids and colleges are getting to miss that. So I think these coaches have to put their teams together. There's really no summer school anymore. There's that continuity that you get when you're able to do those things. It's making college basketball a lot harder, and a lot much weirder because you're just pretty much putting kids together every year. Just regrouping. You got. I'm watching guys who are averaging 18 and 7 at schools and then transferring. I'm like, this is crazy. Then you got kids who average 1 point a game and then transferring. Like, it's just it's a weird time, which is I think is making it bad for college basketball.
Yeah, I talked to a former college basketball coach recently, and they shared with me the fact is that, if you look at college basketball, the landscape it's in right now, inevitably we're going to see a mega league have to be formed in college basketball simply because, you can't compete. Look in the SEC, look at the Big 12. Really right now, if you look at the landscape of it between the Final Four teams, all number ones, right? Big Ten is the only one that's left out of this. And they were saying that the ACC and the Big East, in all likelihood, is going to have to merge. Do you foresee something like that happening? And if so, is that good for college basketball, or is that just a survival mode for them?
It's survival mode because they're always gonna lose to they're gonna get players, but a chunk of the money is in the SEC, the Big 12, Big 10, where the football schools are. And it's always gonna be hard to battle with those schools, even if they're not the best schools basketball wise. They got the bigger purse, and that's what agents and kids and families are chasing more now than opportunity to get better and to hopefully become a professional. Where instead of going to play with however many guys that are all getting paid and a lot of egos, it's gonna be hard to win that way, and for you individually to be successful.
Yeah. Your alma mater, Memphis, and obviously the great job that Penny Hardaway has done, and he family and stuff. When you look at the whole thing where, with Penny, in terms of him just sharing that they have to go into the season, they have to put together a tough non-conference schedule in order just to compete and stuff. When you just look at the way things are going for your alma mater, I think inevitably they're going to have to get out of that conference because ultimately you got to win, not only put together a non-conference schedule that's so crazy, but you got to win those games. And then essentially you cannot lose any games in your conference. Do you think inevitably it comes down that, Memphis has to get to a bigger conference? And if so, which one would you choose, Big East or ACC?
Man, I love my alma mater to death. Penny's a big brother to me, big time mentor to me, and what he's doing at our program is so awesome, man. He turned that thing around in a matter of time. But I know Penny personally. I know you know him personally as well. And I think if Penny could play in any league and play the best teams every night, he would choose that any day of the week. Because similar to Penny, we were in that same situation. When you're in a conference that one loss can drop you from a 2 seed to a 6 or 7 seed, it's hard. When teams are having 8, 9, 10 losses in their league and they're being 4 seeds, it's hard, man. It's hard. And I know, and teams are afraid to play him because, like he did this year, he beat a lot of them, and he's beat a lot of them in his career so far. So, I think that's a tough spot for Coach P to be in. But I know if it was up to me and it was at Big East or ACC, I'd go Big East because that fits Penny's style. That fits Penny's, the way he coaches, the defensive mindset, the toughness, the grit, that type of basketball, that physicality that he coaches with, that mentality that he has his guys playing with, how hard they play, fits the Big East very well. I think we'll be able to compete in that league without a doubt about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the Big East would be a great setup for them. And I was hearing some rumblings about maybe getting in the ACC and obviously really helping that conference, especially, it's a football component to it. But, you move on and you have the opportunity to go in and play NBA basketball. And, never met you ever at all or something like that. But I was a big fan of yours. And one of the things I used to always say, watching you play at Memphis and stuff. First of all, y'all had them just big uniforms and stuff like that. Uniforms that be falling all off of y'all and stuff like that, but that was fly. But the biggest thing is you worked hard, and obviously you were hard working and stuff. Talk about obviously getting that opportunity to pave the way that led you into Oklahoma City Thunder, and ultimately being a part of that team.
I say for me, I didn't get drafted, right? So I had to climb my way. Didn't get drafted. Charlotte gave me an opportunity on draft night, signed me as a free agent, went through camp, made it to the last day of cuts. It was myself and Stephen Graham, he's an older guy. They chose him. I went down to the D League and was able to then really show my scoring ability that, I really wasn't able to showcase like that in college. Which I was able to do in high school, but not college, right? My role was different, which was totally fine. I accepted that. Was able to get back to that. Also, my defending ability, how hard I played all the time, my leadership ability, and, worked my way, man. And, we was one of the top teams in the D League that year. We had a bunch of guys get called up, myself, Will Conroy, who is an assistant coach at USC, Garrett Temple, who's in the NBA on the Raptors, Joey Dorsey, my college teammate, was up and down from the Rockets. So, we had a lot of guys getting called up, and I was the last one. But, my agent had called me, and he's like, look, man, Charlotte may try to bring you back, Utah or Oklahoma City. They all calling about you. So you be ready. I'm like, all right. And literally had a game that came back from a text message. And he's like, you're going to Oklahoma City tomorrow morning. I'm like, oh, okay. Getting there. And, Will Dawkins, who's someone I knew from home, from Massachusetts. We knew each other since high school. He's now the GM of the Wizards. He was actually starting his career at Oklahoma City at the time. He picked me up from the airport, man. And it was just so surreal being with someone who I knew personally, getting that moment, going to get my physical. They were on a West Coast trip. They came back a couple of days later after I did my physical and stuff, and then got to practice. Kevin and Russ and James and Serge and all those guys, and it was a moment for sure.
Yeah, obviously Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, and Russell Westbrook. When you look at this Oklahoma City Thunder team, and you look at most recently in the job that their GM Sam Presti has done putting together this team, obviously going through the whole transitional phase and starting all over. What are your thoughts on just this current Oklahoma City Thunder team and what they've been able to accomplish thus far?
They're good. They're really good. I think what Sam did. Give him his credit, to Massachusetts guy. But what Sam did is he took a chance. He helped, Kev and Russ get to locations and James, all those guys get to places where they could be successful. And he took those picks and invested in younger talent, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, guys like that. And, he built it. And they're doing really well, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the success they have in the playoffs. But, I'm sure it's not easy building an NBA team like he's done. But, you may not have the superstars that you had once had, but you have now have a winning nucleus of guys who are young and going to be there for a very long time. So I think the turnaround took some time, but it was worth it.
Yeah. Now, obviously, your NBA career kind of got derailed a little. Talk about really that, and then the motivation to really obviously accept it and just continue to move forward.
Yeah, for me, got injured. With my eyes, I was dealing with really a bad eye disease called uveitis, which is like a very inflammatory disease, which kind of caused me to have issues like rebounding if the ball hit the lights and stuff like that. Can lose the ball for a quick second in the light. So all that type of stuff, man. And in my hearing, I had an incident where I had to have a cochlear implant in my right ear. So that alone, made me focus on life. My pro career was only 2.5, 3 years. So it was cut short. And from then on, I took a year off. It's crazy because a lot of teams in Europe, a lot of NBA teams were asking me to play summer league and go to Europe. I'm having all these offers and couldn't really take anything because, and that was all I really wanted, all I dreamed of as a young player, aspiring to be a pro. So when I was taken away, I took a year off. And as you know, my guy, TJ Gasnola, I took a year off and, TJ's like, you got so much to give, man, like get into coaching. And I'm like, man, no way. Like, I want to coach, but I just thought about it and, the passion and a half of the game. Why not help the younger generation get to where I got to and hopefully surpass by giving them a blueprint of what it's going to take to get there. When you get there, how you earn minutes in college, how you're successful, how you go about things the right way. And, that's why I love coaching. I think this was my calling. I feel like I'm better at this than I was as a player. I love doing what I do.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, obviously, a great friend that we have in common, whose family you see he's up here, Penny Hardaway. And, I often used to talk to Penny and stuff. And, we talk about these things where the challenges of being a professional athlete that's having success, and all of a sudden you're dealing with an injury and then all of a sudden it's over. And how do you process and deal with that? And, one thing I know about Penny, you alluded to, is very competitive. He would play golf, right? He was just nonstop golf. I think, for him and still to this day, I think it's weaned because, again, the what he had in terms of the competitiveness, he finds it in coaching. But I used to always laugh at the fact is that he'll put on weight, he have his guy cook for him. And then when he would get invited to these golf outings or things, he would just go into this just like madman workout, lose weight, and all this other stuff. And, just really feeling that need to feed the competitive edge that he had. What did you find before coaching that helped you deal with the fact of the matter is that you were no longer able to play basketball?
For me, honestly, I think what helped me was just always being in the gym. My hometown, probably like 20 minutes north of Boston, in a city called Lynn, Massachusetts. So I started running a bunch of like camps and clinics and trainings, all that stuff for free. So I was having 80 to 100 kids in the gym a night, right? And literally just, it just brought me back to like as a player, I'm out there doing the drills and sweating and doing those things. I knew and wasn't able to do it competitively like I once was, but I was able to help so many kids from where I'm from, with my connections to colleges, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3, junior college, whatever. And that when I started doing those things, I felt like that was my pay. I wasn't getting money for it, but like this means more. This means more. I'm helping kids from my hometown who probably never thought about even playing college basketball, letting them know the importance of academics. So once I started getting into the camps and clinics and the skill work, things of that nature, that's what kind of kept me away from, forgetting what happened to me. But when I did watch, and I'm seeing my friends who I competed against and was with, I'm like, man, that's when it hurt more. So the first year and a half or two, I didn't really watch as much NBA basketball because all my boys were playing, and even if I wasn't getting the minutes or money they were making, I was there, right? So it just felt like, man, I can't watch this. I talked to them and text them, and they always call and checked on me. But while I was in the gym and doing that thing, that was my moment. So that's what kind of kept me at ease about what happened.
Yeah. When in going through that, and I know obviously, and forgive me if it's real sensitive, please let me know. I think obviously it was a firecracker or something like that. Was that something you were playing with, or just happened to be in the vicinity of it taking place?
Yeah, so I was at a basketball tournament, like a 4th of July basketball event. I was playing. We're in a timeout, and it's outdoors, so I'm sitting on the bench, and some young kids, probably 10, 12 years old, lit an M80. Like kind of like 5-10 feet behind our bench, and it ruptured my eardrum and another person I was with as well. But he only needed a hearing aid. Mine completely ruptured.
Oh my goodness, man. What do you take away from that? Because in hearing about this and stuff, you are an inspiration. What is it that you share with people in terms of turning that negative into a positive, that you share with people that, again, overcome so many difficulties and challenges that might have, needed to find, that now try to find a different path, which ultimately might have been their calling?
Yeah. Honestly, I just tell people like, I just, even when it happened, as hurt as I was, I never blamed anybody. I just literally just, took it for what it was, and it was it was God's plan. So that's how I looked at it. But it definitely wasn't easy because I was actually peaking in the right direction in my career, with 5, 6 NBA teams in contact with my agent about getting a deal for a year or two guaranteed. So that happened right before summer league, where I was headed to literally 2 days later.
Oh,
So that kind of was the heartbreaking thing, because that's something that could have changed my family's life too. So that was the toughest part. But I think I just shared it with everybody, man. Like I was, I if I even was to ever meet those young kids who are probably 20 in their low 20, 22, 20 or now 21 right now, I wouldn't even be upset. I would just tell them, or any young kid, just be careful when you're playing with those things, man. Like, let someone who really knows what they're doing handle those things. Those kids probably don't even know they ruined my career or ended my career.
man.
Just being a kid. So can never hold them accountable for that. I would never, feel the type of way about that. But it definitely wasn't something easy that I was able to cope with for a while.
Yeah, no, that is admirable that you hold no grudges. Did you ever try to come back? And the reason why I asked you that is because I remember Penny and I were talking about, when his knee, over the course of time, his knee was feeling better. And we came up with this idea on my show. He was like, yo, I want to announce I'm coming back. I want to come back to the league. And that was a big, big story years ago where he announced. Did you ever go through that process of, I want to try to give it a go again? Or was it when you told that you couldn't do it no more, you didn't do it?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Honestly, my eyes wouldn't allow me to. I could see and drive and do the things like that, but those lights, as you know, in the basketball arena, are so bright that even with I tried with like goggles or whatever, the tinted ones, it wouldn't help. That light was so bright it'll blind me for that split second. I can see everything else, but once the ball went in the air and it got hitting the lights, I lost vision of it. So it made it tough for me to even even want to play, because I wouldn't want to let someone down or embarrass myself or my family by just getting out there. Even though I loved it that much, I just didn't want to do that.
Yeah. So now you transitioned into coaching, and obviously you're doing an excellent job at the Darrell School now, and obviously been doing that. As a head coach now, what is the biggest message that you share with not only your team and the young men that you coach, but maybe other kids and players that you might come across, and what to deal with, not only in this era of basketball, but what does it really take to play college basketball, especially at the level that you played at?
A lot of mental toughness. I tell my guys that all the time. We actually talked about it today. We're in our spring workouts and things of that nature. They just got back on Sunday, and it's Wednesday, and guys are like, "Oh, this hurts, that hurts, this hurts," and I'm like, "I get it. I can never tell you you're not hurt, but let me tell you something. In college, you can act like that. Someone has a great day, you're done."
And they're taking that money back if you get
that mental
paid.
toughness and that will to want to be on that floor. I tell them, let the coach kick you off the court.
Mm.
Well, as coaches, we can see if you're really banged up, or if something was really wrong. I tell my guys, our trainer, she does a great job. She would tell me, or if you were hurt before you came, your parents would let me know, hey, my son's banged up, this, that, and the third, right? But like you getting here, you see we're doing conditioning, we're doing this, and you just trying to really cut a corner or two. I'm no dummy, right? And that's why I try to tell them all the time, like, you won't be successful at the next level if this is your mentality, because everybody's hunting for minutes, You got like, and you if you're not reliable, or you're not available, a coach ain't gonna be. They're not gonna play you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest message I give them all the time. Just availability. Always be available. If you were banged up, your ankle was bothering you, why didn't you ice it in the dorm? Why didn't you do the things that you knew you can do to help yourself be 10-15% better the next day? So if you chose not to do that, that's a choice and a decision that you made that you really don't want to be on the floor. And that's what I kind of tell them all the time.
Yeah, you talked about obviously going from being a scorer in high school to now being a player that had a role, a different role, and accepted that role. Talk about how difficult that is. And do you think a lot of high school kids realize that they, again, everybody scores in high school, but when in college, in order to do certain things, you got to be able to rebound. You got to do certain things. Talk about obviously the transition, how difficult or adjustment it was for you to take on that role, and then how much of it in terms of a challenge is to communicate that to your players that the roles may change if you get a chance to go to college and play college basketball.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, it was tough in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, man. I call TJ every day. I'm like, T man, like, what the hell going on, man? Like, and he's like, go sit down with DK, Derek Kellogg. He's like, go sit down with Coach Kellogg, man. Like, express how you feel. So I told Coach Kellogg, I'm like, man, this is in the summer before the school even started. And I'm like, man, you guys recruited me. I was scoring, like, And he was like, well, you got to talk to Cal, right? Like, I'm like, all right. So, Cal's like, look, I know you can score, but we got other guys that can score better. And that's going to be their role. Like, you got to find another way to get on the floor. Can you defend? I said, shit, now I can. And, and he was like, well, prove it. And that same day, Rodney Carney was our senior, our leader, first round pick. I covered Rodney every day in pickup. Rodney hated me covering him. I didn't let him score. He legit would tell me, like, yo, go cover somebody else. And, that earned me to start. I ended up starting, all 4 years. There was games where they needed me to score, and I was able to score. But sometimes it also takes away your confidence, too, when you're not getting shots or things like that, right? And I wasn't the type of player who was greedy and wanted to, like, get my own. I was all about winning. So as long as we won the game, I didn't care if I had 2 points, 8 points, 5 points. I just looked at we had more points than the other team. I was happy. And I think that rubbed off even on our better players, the unselfishness that we had. And that's kind of what I tell my guys now. Like, you got guys, you got to be a realist in this basketball world, man. Like, yeah, you can score, you're getting 30 and cool, like I was doing, but Rodney Carney can score better. Chris Douglas-Robinson can score better. Darius Washington can score better. Sean Williams can score better. And I knew that, and I wasn't gonna fight myself, knowing that I was a realist. They were my teammates. I'm happy for them, but I do something that they can't do. I can defend better than any of them, and that's gonna get me 35 minutes a game. So let me go do that instead of trying to outscore them every day, and that's not gonna help me. So I did what was gonna put me on that floor.
Yeah. A few more questions before I let you get on out of here, Antonio. And obviously, from a coaching standpoint, what's next for you? What is the goal for you in terms of a coach?
I would love to coach Division I basketball. I think, I bring a lot to the table. Just as a prep coach, you got to build connections to recruit. You got to, know the X's and O's. You got to have schemes. You got to do those things. So I would love to coach Division I basketball and learn, from someone who obviously is doing it and at that level, and kind of put me in a position to be a head coach in Division I one day. So just waiting for my opportunity and for someone to give me an opportunity to get my foot in the door, to help and learn as much as I can, and install more in me that I'm a eager learner. I just love learning. And Penny would tell you, I text him and tell him, man, like, tell me about your press, this, that, and the third. He shares it with me a little bit. So, that's just who I am. And so whenever that opportunity presents itself, I'll be more than ready.
Yeah, and obviously, it truly is amazing and stuff what you've done. Before I let you get on out of here, and I got to ask you this personal question, and you could say no comment or whatever. How much of the personal question I have for you is, do you get your supply of your gear for your Memphis gear? Do you get a good supply of Memphis gear? Do they take care of you?
Oh yeah. Penny takes good care of me, man. Since I graduated Memphis, always took very good care of me. Coach Pashner took great care of me. Tubby, I didn't really know him too well, but they would send us. But Penny, Penny's, he'll be like, I'm gonna get my, he's a busy guy, but I stay on him. He knows that. Now that the season's over, I gotta text him. I'm like, yo, Pete, they forgot the shoes. I need my shoes too. That is my guy. When I tell you, he gravitated towards me as a mentor and a big brother when I was at Memphis. He loved my role. He loved the presence I brought defensively and the leadership. And he would help me. He would always help me how understand the game a certain way. And so man, that's why he makes sure I'm always okay for sure.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I might have to get in line after you because I gotta wait for my new supply of stuff. He was telling me during the tournament, the conference tournament. I said, no, man, focus on that. But you're right, man.
Yeah. Every time he tells me he's oh, then I text him. We're talking about something else. Then I'm like, you guys ain't send my stuff? He said, you know what, Tom? I'm gonna text him right now. And then I got it. I got his stuff 2 days later. So just stay on him.
I definitely got a pattern and stuff like that. And I was mad because I said, you know what? If I'd have caught him right after they beat UAB in Birmingham,
yes.
but I said, you know what, man? He was like, yo, I got you. And I know he's busy, but I used to just think about real quickly. One time, I was down at his house and I was at Memphis and he had these big, massive crates. And I think he had just started about the Team Penny. And back then, he had just crazy sneakers. He was like, yo, G, you want sneakers? Go, you want pants? Get some sneakers, man. I was like, nah, I'm good, man. I don't want that, man. I'm good. I was like, nah, I don't want it. And then I think 2 years ago, the last time I think they played Houston, and I had some Adidas on or something like that. I was coming to the game. He was like, he called me. He was like, yo, what size are you? Yo, I'm gonna send you some shoes and some shirt. I need you to wear shirts and shoes, man. Come on. I was like, all right, man. And after that, I was like, yo, then I said, you know what? I like this Memphis stuff.
Yeah, the first thing he's gonna look at every time I came to, I'm a Nike guy, so every first thing he looks at is your feet. Like he's gonna make sure you ain't got no Adidas on, he gonna talk trash. That's for sure. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, man, Antonio, man, humble. Thanks, man. Sincere appreciation. Obviously, you know what, giving the tremendous insight and advice for my son, youngest son, chasing the basketball dreams and stuff, man. And big fan of your ability and what you were able to do on that basketball court. All the best to you, man, and definitely, man, you are a definitely an individual of inspiration. Your story is magnificent, and the thing is perseverance. I wish you and your family all the best, man, and definitely look forward to talking real soon.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me, man. It means a lot.
All the best. And Tony Anderson, right here, Heavy in the Paint.